pissed off too.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live, a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Here with you on a Monday, Mike Carver along with Doug Kezirian as we get ready for all of the action tonight. We've got Monday Night Football, Giants and Patriots at Foxborough. We also have a big slate of NBA. We've got some NHL. There are a few college basketball games. We got a lot to talk about from the weekend with college football and the NFL as well. So good to have you with us, of course, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Doug, good to see you. Happy Monday, my man.
Yeah, happy Monday. It's always that quick turnaround period, right? Between Thanksgiving and Christmas that really I feel needs a lot more time. It's reminds me of college when, so the roll of the dice, right? What
Yep.
how like between how many days do you get between your two hardest finals or whatever? And it's like, what? They're back to back, and then you're supposed to use those 2 weeks to prepare maturely and things. Yeah, I'm just never ready for the quick turnaround. So here we are, home stretch, and obviously a lot to be said with all the big storylines in sports. Lane Kiffin hogging the spotlight in many ways, but it's always fun. It's always fun to see how these things go, and obviously the NFL, expect the unexpected. Another double-digit underdog winning outright.
I guess I got to start there with the opening line here for a Monday. The first, of course, December 1st as well. We flipped the calendar, a new month here, last month of 2025, moving fast on us. Betting takeaways from the weekend. I guess we can go there. Another unpredictable Sunday. You had Carolina. Now they have the two biggest underdog wins this season, right? The Green Bay game and then this Ram game on Sunday. You had the refs involved again, especially late night in that Denver-Washington game on Sunday Night Football. Another wild weekend, Doug, in the NFL.
We had Browns-Packers early on in the season, up 10 late too. That was a crazy game. But, I thought there was going to be a makeup call. I really did, and there wasn't. So that was really bizarre in that regard. But the betting takeaways are really just situational handicapping, if that's even applicable. I got to go back and look. If you're off a big Sunday night win and you play a bad team, what happens? Or was this just the Rams in bad weather? I mean, or is this just the MVP odds-on favorite having a bad game? He had the pick six early, 3 turnovers. I don't care what, who you're playing, but you can't do that. You cannot turn the ball over, including pick six as a defensive touchdown. So, ebb and flow of a season. It really, handicapping the NFL is just such an art to taking leaps of faith, right? Here we have the Patriots who've just been destroying teams in so many ways, answer the call in so many ways tonight. As we get to it, it's like, Giants may win, right? You're just like, why? I don't know. It's just the NFL.
That is sometimes how you just have to do it. You just kind of throw your arms in the air and you go, I don't know. You just get some of these results sometimes that really make you scratch your head. So we will finish week 13 tonight in Foxborough with the Giants and the Patriots, as you just mentioned. Right now, a flat 7. This was 7.5 for the last few days. Now 7 here as we get a couple of hours to kick at Bet Rivers. 46.5 is the total. The big story here also, I guess on both sides with injuries here, Doug, is the Giants will get Jackson Dart back this evening, and the Patriots are very banged up along their offensive line.
Yeah, and I like the dog in many ways coming into this 7.5. I think Jackson Dart changes everything for obvious reasons. Although Jameis was quite the experience, especially on the trick play wideout role, and he caught a touchdown. I just think the Giants have been there a lot this season. Now, different coach, but I thought they should have won in Chicago. If Dart doesn't get the concussion, they probably do. Although, the Bears seem to win every game. And the Giants have been there in a lot of games. The Broncos game, we all know the craziness there. So this is a team that's certainly been competent for most of the year. This is hardly a pitiful team like the Jets were for so much of the season. And that's why 7 feels like a lot, but it's the Patriots, and they've been so good. I mean, Vrabel's a very, very, very good coach. Don't forget that with Tannehill, he had the 1 seed in Tennessee. And he's been great in upsets. He's always great, off a bye and all that kind of stuff, where it's really an opportunity for a coach to flex their muscles. And he's obviously the favorite for Coach of the Year. I think seven's a little too much, but I'm not like hammering it or running to the window to bet this. I think there's going to be ways to kind of finagle some stuff, but I do think Jackson Dart is really hard to prepare for with that mobility component. So I think that's the difference maker for me in this game. And I mean, you always want to look to underdogs in general with the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the Vrabel aspect that you just brought up is kind of what I was thinking maybe Giants money line here tonight as like a little bit of a fun play, but the Vrabel factor for me is what kind of kills all my narratives. The Giants have, as you mentioned, they have been right there. They should have won in Denver. They should have won in Dallas. They should have won in Chicago. They should have won in Detroit. All those games on the road, and they blew them all in the fourth quarter. Are they going to finally cross the line on one of these games? And then you factor in the Patriots finally having their bye next week. They've played excellent for 13 weeks, and they're finally seeing a little bit of downtime. But Vrabel kind of negates that, right, Doug? He's not going to let him think about stuff like that.
He does kind of negate it. That's the perfect word. Is he just knows how to push the right buttons, right? I mean, yeah, he was. I don't believe he was ever an assistant under Belichick, but he played obviously under Belichick. So you get that tutelage, and that's the difference. But that's a great point about the bye. I mean, at some point these teams hit a wall. I mean, gosh, I was talking with a pro bettor yesterday. It's there's some pretty strange results this year. I mean, Rams losing at Carolina, probably not the strangest one. The home. How about the Patriots losing at home to the Raiders? That was week one, but really, I mean, the Raiders have fired two coaches since then. It's just crazy. And then you have a coach of the year favorite in the other column. So I do think a team that's won 9 straight going into a bye, you have to think like injuries are piling up at some point that 7 feels like a little too much. But I do think New England, Vrabel and company, they found ways to win, not quite like Belichick would, where you throw 50 times one week, next week run 40 times. I just think they kind of beat you in different ways. That's what makes props a little difficult in that regard, because you just don't know the game plan. I mean, it's a really advanced sport, right? That's where the NFL is really tricky. You just don't know the game plans and cover two and blah, 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 zone read, all this stuff where most bettors don't really know that. So the game plan that's implemented in New England for this game is really kind of above our heads, to be fair. And I would say it's a total kind of crapshoot in terms of like how the game will play out in that regard.
No doubt. It's the Vrabel is what scares me about going the whole way with the money line. I will be with you though.
You do a lot
Taking
of
the
money line
points.
plays. I don't. I probably need
I
to like
don't.
add that sort of to my tool belt. I don't do enough of that. And I don't do many parlays too. I'm just like,
Right.
let's just try to grind out 2-1, 3-2, 4-2 kind of night. I do change unit sizes. I'll take flyers on like 70-1 pro. I'll ladder up a triple double thing and whatever. That stuff I do, but money lines I'm just not good at. But I think in the NFL, 87% of the team, whoever wins, covers.
Right.
So it's rare. Now I think 7's a different spread than like 2.5, but it's rare that a team covers but doesn't win outright. Although we just saw that on Sunday Night Football. The Patriots, though, have 5 more covers than they do wins. So they're the team that kind of drops the ball at the end, but they're 7-5 against the spread, 2-10 money line.
Yeah, I would have to really feel strongly like this is that this team has a real good shot. It's not something like usually 7-point dogs, Doug. I'm not looking to go play money lines in a lot of these spots. But it's just Giants. Are they finally going to cross the line on the road and finish one of these games off, getting Dart back? But it is not something that I normally like to dip my toe in the water with. Any interest in the total tonight in the mid 40s at 46.5? Not too. I don't have too much.
Probably over, if anything.
Okay.
With Dart returning, I think the Patriots can sling it. Drake May's deep ball is probably over talked about more than anything I can remember. That's in terms of something that is not really like something that like casual fans would understand if it wasn't sort of like picked up off other people and like experts who understand things. But We just saw Stafford have a bad game. Is the Drake May egg coming at some point as well?
It's very possible. Now, I did just see down there, Giants in primetime, always scary. Giants did beat the Eagles in primetime this year. That was a Thursday night game. That was at
Oh
home.
yeah.
They played the Chiefs in a primetime game. That was also at home. That was a game, Doug, if you remember. They played all right in that game, had a chance, but they had Russell Wilson playing that night.
Well,
And
if that lateral play at the end of the first half, Mahomes saved the day with the recovery.
Yeah. So Giants on in primetime games, you never know. That's for sure. Props for me. One number did kind of stick out, and that was Stephon Diggs at 48.5. Now, if you actually look, he's had some really bizarre games. Like he's got games, Doug, he's in the 30s, and then he's got a bunch of games where he's in the hundreds. It's been a very weird year for Diggs. But those 100 games, Doug, a lot of them have come in prime time for the Patriots. Thursday night game against the Jets, Sunday night game against the Bills. So under the lights, it seems like Diggs has gotten going. The Giants do not have a great pass defense. They play a lot of man. Diggs is good against man. 48.5 is a little light for me for Diggs. So I do like that over tonight.
If you look at the first, 11 games, Buffalo, he was going to bring it because it was a revenge game. And then outside of that, he only had one game that was tops of this, and that was Carolina. So
Carolina 101.
I don't know. Well, Carolina and Tennessee as well. So now he was recovering from injury the first few weeks of the season, so that's something to almost throw out. I think this goes to what I was saying earlier about the NFL being so advanced, and you don't know what game plans are going to be implemented and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me of the discussions I would have for expanded props in playoff games, or like the Iron Bowl, or these games. Like when these odds makers put out props based on stats from the regular season in college, like really, like Georgia against Charlotte, we need to like apply the wide receivers first half it's like how they perform there is going to be very different as how those receiver stat lines are going to look in the semis against like a Notre Dame or something. Some of these college stat lines don't really apply once you get to the playoffs. So it's really hard to project props in that regard. So I think Diggs is kind of one of those guys. I think all the receivers from New England are that way. Heck, the running backs, right? We never know what's going to happen if all the guys are Stevenson and everything and Henderson are healthy. I just think New England's kind of like that mixed bag that you really just kind of, it's hard to project, other than Drake May, of course. It's hard to project how things are going to unfold.
1 week it's Diggs, 1 week it's Henry, 1 week it's Booty, 1 week it's this guy, 1 week it's that guy. They do kind of pass the baton around a little bit. I'm going to get to May in a moment because we have a special on him tonight. Let me do Jackson Dart first. Dart's back tonight. Now, the word around here in New York, Doug, is that Kafka has been told, since Dable's been fired. And remember, this is the first time that Dart's playing since Dable was fired. He has been told to stop putting Dart in harm's way. Do not call as many direct designed run plays. Try not to get him killed. Some of the Giant players have been leaking this to the media as well. He is plus 275 right now to score. He has scored a touchdown in his last 5 games. That is a very high number, Doug, for a guy who has scored a touchdown in 5 straight games. But do you believe the hype that has been put out there through the media that they are not going to call any designed runs for him going into this game tonight?
Well, we should be asking you this because you're the one who sniffed out the low price for McCaffrey yesterday. So well done on that. Also, calling those plays, I think, is one thing. Jackson Dart only kind of knows one way to operate. So he's going to tuck it and run. And
I agree.
Trying to teach a guy like that to slide. But he's also coming off a concussion. So sometimes that getting your bell rung will change things. It's like getting scared straight. And I would say I'm not one to get involved. And usually when I do these types of things, I want the high volume, like second tight end guy,
right,
or third wide receiver guy in that regard. So I would not pull the trigger because this could be a blowout and they could only have one touchdown kind of thing. But 275 to your point of a guy who scored 5 straight, I wouldn't lay the opposite number, right? If there was an option, I wouldn't lay 350, 450 or not.
They don't have anyone under 200 tonight for a touchdown, the Giants. Everyone is plus 215 or longer. to get into the end zone. Theo Johnson, 255, Slayton, 320. So if the Giants are going to score, there's going to be some big numbers out there for guys to be able to do it. All right, then we get to Drake May. And this is the special at Bet Rivers tonight. Holy May season. Drake May to record 125 plus passing yards in each half. This is boosted up to plus 250 at Bet Rivers. This could be considered tonight because he is now, Doug, as we'll talk about in a moment when we get to some MVP odds, he is one of the two favorites for the MVP. He is on national TV tonight against a lesser opponent. Will this be a big showcase game for Drake May under the lights in primetime?
You know, we talked about it last week in college with the Heisman and kind of stat playing like Pavia, things like that. I'd almost bet my life that Vrabel could not care less about padding Drake May's stats.
He's not Kurt Signetti.
He's not Signetti. In week 13, going into a bye, that's probably the last thing he cares about, especially with a young quarterback. He's more about protecting than he is trying to juice because, you know, you can have the rest of your life to our career to go win some MVPs. They don't play again in prime time. Okay. I've always said week 17 or 18, if you're in prime time, that really, really helps your campaign because you get like these color and analysts who refuse to say anything negative about anyone, just gushing over you. Collinsworth is what you want. You want to play Sunday night, week 17, and then he'll just gush over that quarterback because that's how Rodgers won. I think it was the second of his recent back-to-back MVPs when they played the Titans in snow. I think that was the game that did it. In this case, I would not think it's going to be stat padding at all. May's going to have to earn it, and if they protect him, be a little dangerous. But 250 is 250, you know.
It is. I agree with you. I think the only thing that Mike Vrabel cares about tonight is hitting the bye at 11-2. And he is not very concerned about what Drake May's numbers are as long as he gets himself across that line and with that record into the break. So the Giants and the Patriots tonight, Monday Night Football, Foxborough to finish off week 13 in the NFL. I just mentioned the MVP. Now, Stafford lost yesterday and, you know, had his worst game of the year. He threw a couple picks. First time he threw a pick in weeks. Rams lost at Carolina. They got upset. You have May playing tonight. Stafford and May, I mean, even money plus 125. Then there's a good gap, Doug. You get to Dak and Jordan Love. Allen now down to 20 where he is. Anybody maybe beyond those two who have pulled away that – because there's still 5 weeks left. And like you said, there's going to be primetime games. There's going to be playoff spots. There's going to be some things on the line here. Any of these guys outside of those two got a shot?
No, I think it's really important to understand that some of these markets are skewed the wrong way because the odds are posted for, you know, almost like as if the voting were held today. And you have to look at the remaining games of the schedule, the primetime games I mentioned, things like that. So Stafford, the rest of the way, does have back-to-back primetime games, weeks 16 and 17. 18 is always open. So they're back-to-back in Seattle on a Thursday night, and the following week, he's got that week 17 Monday night game in Atlanta, and he could really torch. So I think Stafford's a great bet if you can believe the fact that he can kind of light these teams up. I don't even care about next week, but he's at Arizona. Then he's home to Detroit. That could be a really good one to sort of get back in the mix, and then at Seattle on a Thursday, and then at Atlanta. So to me, he's going to win this thing still because it's also like part lifetime achievement award. Yep. So if anything's close, he'll get the deference and the tiebreaker. You also have to believe in the win-loss record, as stupid as it is. I mean, the Heisman's a whole nother category. But if you think they can win and things like that, you just got to believe like yesterday kind of woke them up for the home stretch. And I think winning in Seattle is going to be tough because Seattle's legit. And then the Atlanta game, but I think the door is open if he doesn't win it, that there's a lifetime achievement award for Dak. And I'm not ready to pull the trigger at 12-1. I wish odds makers were a little asleep at the wheel, had him still like 20-1, because I do think he can. Typically, it's a top 2 seed quarterback in either conference, but when things don't break that way and it's kind of a mess and you have a team stumbling to the finish line and a team like the Colts, if they get the 2 seed, it's like, yeah, but I think there's a path potentially for Dak just because he's been so good and the receivers have been really good. I mean, remember, he was a runner-up a couple years ago. So, and it's Dallas, right?
Well,
And he is likable. I mean, these things all matter. Now, how much they matters, one thing. He has a Thursday night game in week 17. Sorry, he plays on Christmas, so that's prime time. But and then the next 2 weeks he has prime time. So he has Thursday this week, and then he has the following Sunday night game. The problem is, is Dallas going to win these games, right? He's got to go at Detroit, home to the Chargers in week 16. He's got Washington on Christmas Day. They should win that.
Like you say, this is, again, a narrative thing, and there's a potential that 4 of these 5 games are standalone games for people to watch Dallas. Obviously, the next 2 definitely are Thursday Lions and then Sunday night against the Vikings. That Commanders game on Christmas Day standalone. If the Cowboys are playing for a playoff spot, Doug, ESPN's going to want them on that Saturday game. If the Cowboys are playing for a playoff spot.
Sure, it's a good point. I think the key with these is you want to find stuff that's somewhat correlated to team success, but has an an outlier payout that doesn't match their money line. Right. I just think the 12-1. Now it's a weird thing. It's almost like betting on group play right now with 4 or 5 games left. You kind of have to sort of, because it's not as simple as they're going to win the final 2 games. So what's the mechanical rollover parlay? Right. It's group play sort of winning. Can he go 3-2? That finish. I don't know. I think 12-1 is a fair price, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think that he would have to run the table, and then you'd have to go 11-5-1 and make the play, and maybe steal the NFC East if the Eagles continue to sputter. I think it would have to kind of also combine those things. And as you mentioned, 12-1 might not be worth enough to also have the Eagles crash along with the Cowboys winning the NFC East in that department. And I'll just throw you this too before we move on. Every time that the Bills lose and the Bills play well, and they played well in the second half in Pittsburgh, here they are again, co-favorites to win the AFC at Bet Rivers with Denver and New England. All 3 teams are plus 450 as we sit here before New England plays tonight and can go to 11-2.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the NFL. So usually it's a war of attrition. I shouldn't say usually, but often. And it's teams that don't get the injuries. And we know about certain tackles being hurt and all that. I mean, look at this. If your life depends, remember, I think a month ago, I asked a friend if you had to pick 3 teams in each conference, your life depended on it. And he was like, well, yeah, it'd be the Colts, it'd be the Chiefs, and all these teams that are sputtering now, Eagles, that look like they can't get out of their own way, and their offense looks terrible, ranked 25th, I believe, in offensive efficiency. I don't know. I mean, I just read somebody tweeting out a podcast, is this the Bills' best chance? Well, I buried them and put dirt on them 3 weeks ago. So I don't know what to think.
I look at it this way, and you know me, I've been up and down. I have the fan swings when it comes to the Bills, just watching them on a week-to-week basis. But part of me also says when I look at this number, I go, all right, well, if Josh Allen's walking in to play Bo Nix on divisional weekend on the road, is Josh Allen going to come out of that game with a win? I think he could. If he walks into Foxborough against Drake May, making his first playoff start in divisional weekend, is he going to come out of there with a win? I think he could. I think that's obviously why the Bills are there, and that's what runs through my head, Doug, thinking maybe the Chiefs and Ravens are going to be out of the picture. And as you've brought up a bunch of times, this is the year that maybe they sneak through the back door into the Super Bowl finally. Maybe, if those teams are out of their way. Maybe.
Yes. And the Chiefs are in trouble, even though Andy Reid recently said he thinks they can win the table, and he used the quote, "We're going to tickle your tonsils on every play." Okay. I mean, look, Andy Reid's kind of funny like that, so I love it. And wait, Amish electrician, he should know what the dark is like, because not only is he Amish, but he's an electrician.
Diggs could catch that much in the dark.
He doesn't just throw around that phrase very often. I mean, that's serious stuff. I'm not betting the Bills. I think McDermott's kind of a putz. He's not a terrible coach or anything like that. He's not a complete moron. I just don't think he has he doesn't give you confidence going into battle. He doesn't give you the edge that you think you need and from a coaching standpoint. I'm not sold on the Ravens. We just saw him lay an egg. I've been like, come on, you really think this Ravens team is going to run the table and then all of a sudden not be a playoff flameout. I haven't given up on the Colts yet, but something tells me I should. Maybe the Bills get it together. I just think it's really hard, man. And I just think
Yeah.
the Patriots are good. And like, I just think everybody's kind of caught them. I think the Chargers are still legit. And Denver.
Yeah.
I can't wait to bet against them, but heck, that team's pretty good, man. They get it done.
And I think that will be the great equalizer. If those matchups that I presented to you hypothetically were to happen, of course we would want to take Josh Allen over, say, Bo Nix or Drake May in his first playoff game, but you would want Sean Payton and Mike Vrabel over Sean McDermott every day and twice on Sunday. Like you would want that. You would want those guys in terms of the coaching matchup every single time. At least I would, and he's my coach. So that's how I look at it, Doug. Should be fun down the stretch as they give the fans of Buffalo hope again, thinking that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Remember, Bet Rivers also tonight, NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet. Players who opt in on the Bet Rivers app or at betrivers.com will receive a second chance token for any first touchdown wager on each game day of NFL primetime games. See the Bet Rivers app or the website for full details. For NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet tonight. All right, Betting Weekly live here on a Monday. Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian. We have NBA. 9 games tonight as well, including a couple games on Peacock this evening for their doubleheader. We'll start in Orlando, where the Bulls and the Magic will get together. Magic -9, 239 flat the total.
I think this is this time of year where we have to really keep in mind the ebb and flow and the flat spots and things like that. So, just a little history lesson with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they had one loss this year, and that was against the Blazers, okay? Well, a couple Sundays ago, they had the rematch with the Blazers, and they were up 25 at halftime because they were upset and they were ready to rock against a team that had beaten them, and then they won by 40. Okay, so 2 weeks later, which was yesterday, they play the Blazers again, and guess who's got the lead at halftime? It's Portland. So Portland beats them outright, then loses by 40, okay? Then up one at the break in the rematch. I mean, it's just, you can kind of predict when teams care a lot, and then you're going to get those advantages and how they sort of play out in that regard. Well, the Bulls, remember that 5-0 start? Feels like a distant memory. Well, they're 9-10. So they're 4-10 since. They've lost 3 straight, and these not exactly murderers rows opponents. New Orleans, Charlotte, and Indiana. They've lost all 3 of those opponents. So now they're in Orlando and actually playing a really good team, and they're only 9-point dogs and saying, what am I missing? The Bulls clearly aren't the team that we thought they were, blah, blah, blah. But the Magic are coming off a big win at Detroit, and that's after winning at Philly. And they haven't played since Friday. It's holiday weekend. I'm assuming the players maybe had their Thanksgiving Saturday and whatnot. And now the newly lowly Bulls come to town on a Monday. I think first quarter is the play for Chicago. I think they're going to have the lead after one. This is an Orlando team that's been up and down, roller coaster. You don't know what you're going to get. They played Chicago. The Bulls did beat them earlier this year. That's my only concern. It's a little bit of the revenge factor. But I think Bulls plus 2.5 for a small play is worth a little bit, just because I do think there's a way to handicap sort of effort to start the game.
Bulls plus 2.5 first quarter tonight in Orlando. There against the Magic. First game on Peacock tonight. The second game, Suns and the Lakers in Los Angeles. Right now at Bet Rivers, Lakers -5, 234 flat is the total. Lakers, of course, did play last night, Doug, 133-121. They beat the Pelicans. The Suns coming off losing to the Nuggets on Saturday night. So they get together this evening at the Crypto.
Yeah, Phoenix has been one of the bigger surprises this year. I mean, there's been a few of them, right? But I think Phoenix is sort of flying under the radar, being 12-9, battling without, with some key injuries and things like that. But they're off back-to-back losses at Oak City, and then at home to Denver, where they actually were in the game until the very end, and they lost by 18. It's hard to bet against the Lakers right now. They're kind of a wagon at full strength. LeBron sat out yesterday. The 5 feels kind of cheap. So I think I'd have to lean LA. The Lakers lead the NBA in field goal percentage. Who would have thought, right? With Luka taking these step back threes, Austin Reeves, and it's been crazy, but they've been that good. I'd say Lakers are past for me, but the play I do like is a prop bet I've played him recently, and it was a banger. He was our best bet on Friday, and it's Colin Gillespie, the former Villanova guard, bounced around a little bit. He's now found a home in the Suns lineup. Now, he was starting 7 straight games, okay? He flew over his points prop and his three-point made prop, okay? Last game, Grayson Allen comes back. So Grayson Allen into the starting lineup, Gillespie relegated to the bench. But his minutes only went from like 32 a game to 28. So he's playing a lot off the bench. He leads the NBA in three-pointers made off the bench. Remember, still no Jalen Green for Phoenix, the guy from he hurt his hamstring or something. He's only played a couple games because he was the guy who came over from the Durant trade. So Gillespie's a gunner now. And Booker's drawing a lot of attention. Gillespie off the bench. I think this is a really good play, over 2.5 made threes. It went from plus money. Now he's like a pick 'em.
Yeah.
And it's, he's off the bench. You think, okay, we had our fun, but no, he's like hoisting 9 a game or something. So he's lights out, and they're finding the short quarter. I think this is an efficient team. I don't know if the Lakers defense is really that great. It's middle of the pack. It's fine. So I like it.
Yeah, I was with you Friday night. I obviously had the 2 in the daily double, which unfortunately Texas A&M didn't come through for us. And then I played him 3 by himself too, Gillespie on Friday night. So I'm right there with you, Doug. I love it. Over 2.5 for Gillespie tonight in that one. All right, let's get a few of these other ones here tonight. Not the sexiest game on the card, Doug, but once again, there's always money to be made. Hornets and Nets in Brooklyn at the Barclays. Hornets -5, road favorites, 228.5 the total.
I talked about this, but it's really important to remember, so I'm going to repeat it. Like, odds makers don't know what to do when there are injuries, right? I touched on Gillespie and Grayson Allen and all that. They don't like this stuff, but they put up a line, the line will move, and they'll be fine with two-way action. LaMelo Ball not playing crunch time is a really big thing for the Hornets. Sexton was running things, and the Hornets sort of finish things off. I don't know if they're playing inspired and want to thank God we don't have to deal with LaMelo pounding the ball for 19 seconds of the shot clock. It can't be that fun. And he's shooting uncontested threes from a mile behind the 3-point line. Maybe they're got a little bounce in their step. Now, I keep waiting for the Nets to have a little bit of a resurgence because I think they're well coached and have some talent. They're terrible. So I'm laying the 5 with Charlotte. I think because of the LaMelo thing, we avoid a flat spot. Because you're off some big wins. Now you got to go to Brooklyn, but Brooklyn just loses almost every game. They're horrendous. So 5's just cheap for. I think a Hornets team that's pretty good. I can't wait for Brandon Miller to get back. But you got Kneppel, Sexton. I don't like Bridges, but he's putting up some stat line. I like him around the rim. He's got great bounce. Just a strong guy. I just don't want him playing on the perimeter, shooting threes. But he has been kind of proving me wrong at times. So there's some things to like. Kalkbrenner's been good enough. There's some things to like with this team.
Yeah, the Nets have been pathetic. Now look, the only games that they've won have been against bad teams. They beat the Pacers, they beat the Wizards. They did have one good win against the Celtics, right? But other than that, I mean, they've had all kinds of problems out there. And Kneppel and Sexton, so 6 points for them, right, Doug? 16.5 for Kneppel and 13.5 for Sexton.
Right. So here we go with the LaMelo sort of domino effect, right? Do we know if LaMelo's now benched? Is he not playing fourth quarter? We don't know. I think if you play Kneppel over 15.5 and Sexton over his points prop, I do think against this net squad, 1-1's the worst you're going to do. Now you can get juiced out, obviously, in that scenario, but I think 2-0 is up there if Sexton had 20 something off the bench because he played the crunch time minutes in the fourth quarter with LaMelo not playing. So I just don't think odds makers kind of know what to do with the LaMelo situation. And I don't think I'd want to play one of these guys. I think you want to play both of them because I think there's a way better chance to go 2-0 than 0-2. And I think 1-1's likely. So I just think the juice risk of 1-1 is offset by the stronger likelihood of 2-0 than 0-2.
Yep. The Clippers are in Miami against the Heat. Man, the Clippers are 5-15. Whew. That is rough. Heat now -6.5 tonight, 236 the total.
What would you say is rougher, the 5-15 mark, okay, or 3-7 at home?
I think the 3-7 at home,
right?
Because I do remember you brought this up last week, and I look, it's not like they've been playing the Hornets, the Wizards, the Pelicans, they actually have had a these 20 games, they've played a lot of really good teams to start. Now they should still be with their talent better than 5-15, but they haven't exactly gotten some soft spots yet, Doug, in their schedule to kind of get the wins padded back up.
No, but the last game on Saturday was a complete embarrassment. They had Dallas on a back-to-back, playing no one except for Cooper Flagg, who of course has his career high against this Clippers team. After the game, James Harden basically complaining about I don't know, like the chemistry or something, the rotations.
Oh, no.
Ty Lue, I'm sure, has got his head elsewhere with this poker scandal thing. I know that he wasn't arrested or anything, but I just don't think that book is closed, so to speak. I kind of need to lay it with Miami. Now, with that being said, I try to share my sort of secrets here, my angles. Miami, since Tyler Hero's come back, they're 0-3 or 4 against the spread. And I just think Hero's having a tough time adjusting to sort of this newer pace and space offense that was Spoelstra. So they for stretches, they had no Hero because he made his debut like a week ago. They had no Bam, they had no Wiggins, and then in and out of the lineup. So what they did is just like line changing bunch of dudes who are great sort of like line changes and just chuck and duck. But then Hero comes and they're running the typical NBA half court where they call for a ball screen. He's got to call, some wear over and do. And I just think they've had trouble covering some big numbers. Now, I can't bet on the Clippers because Harden's comments, they could be a mess. They just lost to Detroit at home. Now they were down 25 and lost by 3. So they had a valiant comeback because Detroit was on a back-to-back in Orlando, then in Miami. I think it's a good spot to back the Heat, so I lean there. But I just can't rip a big one. And the other thing is I want to do the Norm Powell revenge game and go over his points prop, but he's already faced the Clippers. And I think now with Hero back, Wiggins back, I just think there are more ways to win than lose. I think he could go as low as like 14 points and only be as high as like 23. So I just think there's more ways to win. This is not a banger. This is a straight value play. I think it's going to be right around there, but I just think this number's a little too high when you have other scorers here for the Heat because, I mean, they now have like I said, Wiggins is back. There's some guys who can go off and the ball moves. Remember, I was talking about the ball popping, so Jovic can shoot some threes. Davion Mitchell will get maybe 10 points if he gets like breakaway layups with his defense. Bam could go off. And then Hero could also go off. So I just think with the ball moving, it's an equal opportunity sort of offense. And that's why I think just a kind of a value play with Norm Powell, because I think with the rematch game already or revenge game already have played, I think it's just going to be a normal game for him.
The other games tonight in the NBA, some big spreads. Pistons are 9.5 against the Hawks. The Bucks are 9.5-point road favorites in DC. Feels like the Cavs and the Pacers are playing for like the 10th time already this year. But the Cavs are -4.5 on the road in that one. You have Dallas getting 11 in Denver, and your Jazz are home for the Rockets tonight. Rockets laying 12 in Utah with the 234. So you do have a couple of other games there late night. Big number for the Jazz. They've been good at covering.
So these two teams played yesterday. I actually was like kind of liking Jazz. They were down 30 at halftime. So I was like, God, thank God I didn't bet that one. I don't know if they're going to bounce back here. The Jazz you got to be careful, right? They're trying to think. There's probably like a food analogy. You got to be, they're like bone marrow. You can't have it every day. You just got to like pick your spots, escargot or something. Maybe the Rockets, the physicality of the Rockets may wear on them, but also this is back-to-backs in altitude. Rockets just beat them by 1,000,000. The Jazz could just run them off the court in the first quarter. So maybe it's a first quarter team total kind of thing. That's what I think. I also think the Mavs could get absolutely destroyed. You mentioned it in Denver. Denver could roll them here with altitude. They got the big win in LA on Saturday night. No LA flu because they lost the Lakers Friday. But I think AD is supposed to return tonight. That's the one caveat. But he's no prize right now. Isn't he like kind of getting fat shamed by Dallas now? So Nico's gone, but wasn't he fat shaming now that Luka's not there? There's something to be said about the whole, altitude, end of a road trip. I mean, that's as old as time in terms of a betting spot. AD's on a minutes count, only had like 12 points against the Lakers. 11 might be cheap. The problem is with Denver, I mean, they've had trouble without Aaron Gordon, and Christian Brown's really been the key and sort of why they've been. But Jokic is just so good and should feast in these situations. I mentioned that Suns game earlier. There was a tight game for a little bit of the way, but Denver's kind of shorthanded, and they need Jamal Murray to go off. And if he doesn't, they have trouble. But they're starting Spencer Jones and Peyton Watson, so no Gordon, no Brown. And then if all these like guys that the Mavs have, when it's get for all those guys, PJ Washington, Clay went off against the Clippers. So that's why I can't lay the 11 because there's so many giant unknowns with Dallas.
A lot of unknowns with the Mavs. There you go. NBA 9 games tonight for you in the association. Of course, if you like what you see here on Betting Weekly Live, and why would you not, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. And while you are there, make sure you check out our other shows, including recorded earlier today, Betting Weekly EPL. Dan Roebuck, Nigel Seeley, and Jack Wright preview midweek action in the Premier League. Some good ones this week. Betting Weekly EPL. Go and check that out. I know that they're doing also a special Friday after the World Cup draw comes out. I did see that earlier, them tweet about that. So lots of good stuff coming on the Betting Weekly Studios channel. Check out Dan, Nigel, and Jack with all the midweek action. All right, NHL. 5 games tonight that we have. 1 game national TV, somewhat, NHL Network. For the Penguins and the Flyers this evening. Right now, Flyers minus $1.36 at Bet Rivers. Penguins plus 110, who were good to me twice last week. We caught the Penguins on the money line twice. Thankfully, weren't on them Saturday when they got smashed by the Maple Leafs. This is a flat 6 tonight, Doug. Anything for me here would be the over, just because both teams are coming off a weekend where they both played 2 overs Friday and Saturday. So they both played some high-scoring games over the weekend. Maybe we could continue that trend with both of them tonight. But really, that's all I'd probably be looking at here.
Oh, I did the calendar turn. I went and added, I think there's 4 back-to-backs for the Kraken coming up this month. So I'm excited. I've added those to my iPhone calendar. Really excited for that. But Pens and Flyers, really, I've had no sort of like read on them. Again, obviously my hockey knowledge is a fraction, a sliver of what yours is. But I'm trying to pick my spots. I've been talking to my hockey guys, if you will, and trying to sort of aggregate their information that I could pass along here. How much of this is a rivalry, and does that really matter?
I mean, maybe a little. Historically, they've played some crazy games, but like I would look, the Penguins have been playing okay. The Flyers have won 3 in a row. They're probably deservedly favorites at home here tonight. They've played a little bit better than the Penguins recently, but I'm just going to root for pucks in the net. That's it in this kind of feature.
Okay, I can write. I mean, 5 would be really low, right? So 6, you're pushing.
Right. It's shaded to the under. I mean, it's minus 120 to the under. So you're getting minus 105 to the over tonight. Every game on the card tonight, actually, Doug, is a flat 6 in the NHL. Okay. So, we have some opportunities. Obviously, we have late night at the Shark Tank with Utah and San Jose, and that's a flat 6. So we play that on principle at the 10 o'clock East Shark Tank late night game, even though Utah's been a little bit more on the underside lately. But with a flat 6, maybe we can get it behind it. And there's one side for you. Anaheim in St. Louis against the Blues. Anaheim, now they've lost a couple games here, but they're still in first place in the Pacific, tied with the Kings now, I believe. They've been a lot better than the Blues. I mean, the Blues should not be minus 148 against Anaheim tonight. So I will take a shot with the Ducks, who have been the better team. This is more like, for me, Doug, kind of an overall 2 months into the season. Ducks are a lot better than St. Louis. Plus 120 is a little bit too much. I'll take my shot with Anaheim and Quenneville tonight.
So this is like baseball, right? Hockey money lines and everything. You got to just do it every day. Like, oh, this is too hot, because you're really grinding in this regard, right? Because you could lose 7-0 and some smart ass on like, hey, nice call with the Ducks. You're like, dude, you got to just grind. You're not going to win every game. So if you are that person who's committed to the cause, especially if you have a computer model and just look for profit, then I think it's a great, it's smart to do. I hate these types of situations from an eye test better and how I am and things like that. I don't get involved in stuff unless it's like, plus 400 in some football game that I think is crazy sort of variance, coach fired, final week of the year, rivalry game, one of those things. I don't get involved, but I understand the allure. We talked about it a lot during the summer in the baseball show, but that's the thought process. You just got to really stay the course and be committed long term.
That's what you got to be. And it's kind of one of those that, like, when you look at it for the first time, Doug, the night before or the morning of, whenever you're looking at it for the first time, what's like the one or two lines that just stick out to you and go, what are we looking at? And the Ducks kind of just, that was the one that kind of jumped off the page to me, was the Ducks being that much of a dog. Not you, like you said, you might be walking into a brick wall tonight. You never know. But I'll take my chances with Anaheim, because they've been much better than St. Louis so far this year. So there you go. Lots of hockey, 5 games tonight on a Monday for us. Up away at the Shark Tank, though, Doug. Don't forget that, Dougie Pucks. We like up and away at the Shark Tank late night. College football. We have hit championship week. We have hit crazy coaching season. Lane Kiffin, what a soap opera that was all weekend. Man, between Friday, Saturday, and then spilling into Sunday, him getting on the plane, the whole deal. So Ole Miss will be in the college football playoff without their head coach as he goes and takes big bucks at LSU. You had several other guys get hired. Summerall's going to go to Florida. There's lots of things with coaching, Doug. But we also have now this kind of setup for this weekend with what the matchups are, what's still to be played for. Big week here when we get the penultimate college football playoff rankings tomorrow night.
Look at you with the SAT word. Yeah. For those who need a little translation, it's the second to the final. BYU to make the playoff plus 400 has my attention because obviously you have the money line. If they win, they're in. Okay. If they play competitively, because they got blown out in Lubbock earlier this year, it's the only loss, and they play Texas again, Texas Tech, excuse me. If they play competitively on a neutral field, that margin of defeat could sway things, because we have to remember the committee, and I love these scenarios because it's only year 2 of the 12. We don't know how these, and it's every year is a different committee, right? So it's a very fluid, old days, AP poll, BCS. If you win, you can't drop, right? It's like you only drop if you lose. That doesn't happen because they don't let the calendar dictate the pecking order, right? So if you have a monster win in week 6, but someone else has a monster week in week 10, like the week 10 win can be better than the week 6. So they're going to pass that team, even though the other team didn't lose in week 10. So in this case, like BYU could make a move. Now there's the brand sort of bias and allegations with Notre Dame lurking, but what if Ole Miss is penalized with losing Lane, right? What if the quarterback's leaving? Now, I don't think he is, but I think there's enough sort of plus 400 appeal. Now, you got to hope Alabama loses, but I think there's something to be said about that. I even think there's appeal with Miami. We don't know what's going on with this. Now, Notre Dame is ahead of Miami, and I don't think that changes, but you're getting plus 800 for Miami to make the playoff. 150 to 1 if you think they can make it run. I'm not saying pizza money. I would even think, you say Happy Meal, I'd say old school vending machine money, that kind of stuff. But I do think chaos could be around the corner in the playoff. Let's not get fixated on how teams are ranked. There could be fluidity, even though teams aren't coming off losses per se, besides A&M.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people out there who are obviously rooting for the chaos. They want to see this committee get put into bad situations. Duke beating Virginia, I guess, would be one of those, because that would be embarrassing. Doug, it's just embarrassing on the level of you not put the ACC champ in over Jimmy Madison and the winner of Tulane, North Texas. Would you do that, Doug? Would you put Jimmy Madison and Tulane in over Duke if Duke were to beat Virginia? Okay, so you would do it.
Look, okay, there's different definitions of the best conference, okay? How do you define best conference? The most contenders? The best middle of the pack? The best like good teams? The most of the highest floor? So over the years, it's like the SEC is the best. It's like, well, are they? If you're saying championship contenders, fine. Like you have Saban and then some of the other teams, right? But like the middle of the SEC was terrible for a while, and same with the bottom, right? This year, the ACC is competitive. I think they're like 10 deep and like, okay, each can beat each other. but I don't think any of them are championship contenders, right? So if their conference champion is like bad, like they don't deserve an automatic bid to the playoff. Now that it does neutralize the whole point, and that's why college basketball is great because everybody has an automatic bid and you have a chance. But James Madison, I think, is better than Duke. I'm not convinced. The Duke isn't like a terrible team. Like they have a really good defense. I would, if that's what the committee says, fine. But I was a defender of the little guy, like with Boise State in the past when they were undefeated and things like that. I hated that we didn't have a playoff. I really don't care when it comes down to this stuff because these are teams are like a 10th team or 12th team or 14th team. Like they're not. I mean, this is a sport that really only cared about the top two. I don't see value in this bet either. I think there's too many moving parts for the payout only to be plus 125.
The one thing that a year like this is going to do, Doug, is it's going to push to get it to 16, push to get it to even bigger because you're going to have a couple of these teams are going to be out, whether it's Miami, Alabama, Notre Dame, BYU, however you want to cut the pie. Yeah. A bunch of those teams are going to be out. And potentially James Madison and, Tulane are going to be in. And that's, what do you want? Nobody wants to watch those teams play. We want to see Miami play. That's what's going to make it all happen is push that across. And if I was the ACC boardroom guys, Doug, I'd probably say maybe we should go to the Mountain West way and do the highest rank if we have a tie of two or more teams to get to the title.
Why not?
Maybe we should do that instead of our dopey fifth tiebreaker that came down to who played who in common opponents all the way down the board. So that's probably one thing that they're going to have to think about because that could have got Miami into the game. So big week ahead, championship week in college football. Anything for hoops tonight? It's not a great night. Temple Villanova get you excited. Maybe I can interest you in Portland and Stanford late nights. Kansas State and Bowling Green. Anything? You get any text today with basketball? Anything we could both get in on?
No, a couple things. Villanova. I mean, someone asked me a few weeks ago. It's like, well, what do you make of Villanova? Do you like? It's like Villanova doesn't really blow anyone out, and literally the line was 12.5 and landed 12. And so here we have a similar point spread, and especially at those those Philly schools. I forget the name of that, but it's all in that little Bermuda Triangle. Maybe the over, but I wouldn't bet the side. I think Cincy and Xavier, sharp guy I know, is on those laying some major lumber in those games.
Yeah.
Other than that, like you said, this could be an NBA night for me. I'm keeping an eye on things. I think there's a couple live betting opportunities, especially if the Bulls start out ahead of the Magic. I think the Magic could be a nice in-game bet that I'm keeping an eye on.
Now, I will say the next two nights, college basketball, you have the ACC, SEC challenge. I mean, Florida Duke tomorrow night, Tennessee Syracuse, UConn, UNC and Kentucky is playing tomorrow night. Outside of that challenge, you have UConn, Kansas. So the next two nights, Doug, is huge with college hoops. So we will have a lot of good games. And the Big Ten is starting conference play, huh? Iowa, Michigan State tomorrow night as they start to get some early conference games in. Purdue at the rack against Rutgers. There you go. College basketball for tonight. It is time. Best bets on Betting Weekly Live leading into the Daily Double. I was torn a little back and forth with something from the football game, Doug, but looking back, I've had a lot of success with the props. It's been good to me in these best bet Daily Double spots, so I'm going to go there again tonight. I am taking Diggs over 48.5 receiving yards, maybe inspired a little bit by the Amish electrician. Maybe he pushed me a little bit across the line, but I'm going to go with Diggs over 48.5 tonight against a bad Giants secondary and some good primetime numbers for him.
I like it. And guys like that, you don't have to convince me that saying they may shine in primetime more than others. Yeah. He fits. That tracks, as they say. Yes, that would track, given his likelihood to find the spotlight. He's prone to do that. I'm going prop market as well. Gillespie, at least 3 made threes. Yes, he may be coming off the bench. You never know with opportunity and usage, but I think Gillespie will look for his shot. And hey, maybe it's still the white man can't jump thing. Back when I was a kid, like, oh, he's going to be more likely to be left open because he's a white guy. Who knows? But he's been finding his opportunities and taking advantage of them. He's been very I just love these kind of stories because he stuck to it, was on short contracts a lot when he came in the league, was on the cusp, and he's found a home in Phoenix. Good on the new coaching staff. They've been a pleasant surprise this year. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. Maybe it's a blowout and maybe he gets limited minutes, but in general, I like Gillespie here almost every game, even with Grayson Allen returning and relegating Gillespie back to the reserve role.
There it is. Gillespie is so underrated there from Mike Benson checking in on the conversation on the chat box with us as well. So the daily double for tonight. Gillespie, 3+ threes. Diggs, over 48.5 receiving yards, plus 246. It's a new week, and I can smell it, Doug. It's the start of a new run for us. We had a run, had a little low. Now we're back on the run tonight. 246 for Diggs and Gillespie. Let's get it, baby.
Hey,
let's go.
I'll say this. What is this, 3+ weeks or whatever? Yes. We have not had an 0-2 night in best bets.
And that goes back to something that you have said before, and that is if you play them both separately, you'd be kind of pushing even with the, obviously some lines are a little bit different than others that we do give out, but there has not been a night, as Doug said, where both of us, where we went 0-2 with the daily double and the best bets. So let's get it going. Diggs and Gillespie.
You can bet it both ways too. You can do the parlay for small and then, the daily double for small and go from there.
Mix it up, chop it up a little bit, get the dicer out. All right, Doug, great job. As always, enjoy the game tonight. You got Pats and Giants. You've got all the NBA that you're going to be keeping an eye on as well. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific for a Tuesday Betting Weekly Live. I already told you, a banger of a night in college hoops. Some outstanding games that we will get to. We'll have a ton of NBA. I know Thunder Warriors is on the Tuesday night schedule. We have got a lot of NHL, and we will start to look ahead to this week's NFL and college football games. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Live, Betting Weekly Studios, part of the Bet Rivers Network. Have a great night, and we will see you back here tomorrow.